Hello and welcome. Welcome to our module on deploying the USM Anywhere AWS sensor. We will begin by briefly discussing the prerequisites for a successful deployment, and we will then walk through the deployment wizard that is used to deploy the sensor. Please keep in mind that this session will only cover the essentials required to deploy a new sensor because there are other video modules that are available that will provide more in-depth discussions of the AWS sensor. On the sensor download page that we are on right now, you can see there's a link for sensor download, there's a deployment guide, and there's also a quick start guide. First of all, we need to review the prerequisites for a successful deployment, and you can see there are two types of sensors that can be deployed for AWS within USM Anywhere. We have the AWS Sensor Template, VPC, or Virtual Private Cloud, and the Sensor for Government. In this module, we'll focus on the VPC template, so let's click on the deployment guide link to review the requirements. On the left, we'll click on the requirements link and take a look. We can see in the requirements page, the first things that it's asking us to have is an M5 large instance for the Amazon VPC. We also need 100 gigabytes of EBS volume or the data volume. As you're deploying this, don't forget to read those notes and look at your different regions, your different dependencies, and the different outbound ports. There are very important ports here for the sensor to function correctly and to be able to communicate with USM Anywhere. Here, those primary ports which are shown here are, for example, 443 using SSL and TCP. This is used for ongoing communications with the OpenThread Exchange or the update server or the different metrics. Down here we have port 7100. This is one of the main ports that is used for constant communication between the sensor and USM Anywhere. If we scroll down, we also have the inbound ports and the security groups that will be created by our CloudFormation template. There will also be several different services that get created, and there's also different nodes and also the IP addresses for allow listing. And finally, at the bottom, we will have the installation prerequisites, which is the CloudFormation template that is provided by us. And also we'll need a privileged user account on AWS that has the proper permissions to create the resources. Let's switch back to the main sensor download page and click on the download link for the AWS Sensor Template VPC. As you can see, it is not an actual download, but it's asking us to copy this link here to proceed. Then we're going to go into CloudFormation in AWS. And remember, you can access that dashboard from our recently visited links in the search area or by clicking in your favorites. I'll hit that. And down here in our CloudFormation dashboard, we can go on the right side and click Create Stack. And we're going to create a standard stack. You can see here on the left that we have 4 steps to complete. First, we choose an existing template, and the source is going to be the S3 URL that we obtained from the sensor download page. So I'll choose an existing template, Amazon S3 URL, and paste our link. On the right, we're going to click Next. On step 2, we need to provide a stack name. So I'll call it AWS Sensor. Under the sensor name, I'll keep it consistent and call it AWS sensor. The key name, you have to have an existing key pair to enable SSH access to your USM Anywhere sensor. Here, I'll select the one that we have created. We're not doing any traffic mirroring mode, and under instance settings, we're going to select the VPC and the subnet. I'm going to duplicate this tab so I can show you a few of the things that are going to be created here in a few minutes. So I'll click on VPC. I'll go down to your VPCs, and here is the information that we have for our networking. I have also created a subnet, and this subnet has all the information for the internet access for all these different resources. Also under EC2, we'll see that we only have 4 instances right now. In a few minutes, this sensor instance will be created, as well as its volume and its security groups. So all that will be created by the CloudFormation template. Let's go back to our instance settings, select that VPC ID, that subnet ID, and leave the rest to their defaults. We have the opportunity to set up some tags or some optional permissions. We'll leave those to their default, and here on their stack failure options, the default is to roll back all the stack resources and delete the creator resources. We'll leave those to their default, scroll down to advanced options, leave those at the default. And at the bottom, we have to acknowledge that this CloudFormation template will create some identity and access management resources. So we'll have to acknowledge that and then click Next. And on the final step, we'll review and create everything that we have set up. For example, here's our template URL. Here's our stack name, our key name, node name, the subnet ID, and the VPC ID. Just make sure that you review this page to make sure that you have everything that you need to configure this. So at the bottom, we'll click Submit. You can see in the middle of the page here that the create is in progress. Let's give it a few minutes and come back to review what has been created. Very good. And as we can see here, after a few minutes, we can see that the creation has been completed. If we scroll down here in the events area, we'll see all the different things that were created, the actual sensor, the data storage, the EC2 instance, the profiles, the roles, etc. Let's switch back to our EC2 dashboard and take a look at some of those things that were created. And here we have the security groups. We have this AWS sensor group that was created under instances. Here we have the AWS sensor that was created, it's running, and is using that M5 large instance type. Here under volumes, we'll also see our AWS sensor has been created. Thank you so much for watching.